Okay, so this is the video for Group 8, and it's Travis, Kevin, me, and Megan. And for the dramatic situation, Travis thought that the speaker starts a rebellion against his faith, said that he claims that he has been held back by living a moral lifestyle, he feels free, that he finally rebelled. He also said that he thought that God was speaking to him in the end, and reasoned that it shows that even the most devout in their faith can have doubts. Kevin said that the speaker's complaining about limitations of living a moral and virtuous life, and he also thought that in the end God wasn't trying to hold him back with a collar but to protect him. I said that the speaker was someone who was tired of being tied down by religion and was finally renouncing his faith. I also said the reason he heard God at the end showed that he didn't really want to give up on his faith totally. Megan pointed out that the speaker is very upset about his life and how it's going, and just questioning God too is why nothing ever goes his way. For the second question, Travis thought that the connotation of the word fruit was thorns, and made a connection that the harvest resembled the crown of thorns that Christ wore. And Kevin thought that fruit meant that the pleasures in life that he had been deprived of while living out under the law of God. He said that the speaker was saying that his fruits of the Spirit had ran dry. I basically thought when by fruit he meant like benefits, the fruits of his labors, like something good that might have come out of his time he had spent in his faith. And Megan also thought the word fruit was referring to the fruits of the Spirit. For the third question, Travis says that from the beginning of the poem, the man is trying to flee from his virtuous lifestyle. The collar represents his moral strengths, and Travis also pointed out the parts of the poem, like when it said the cage or ropes of sand, showing more things that might hold him back. He says the paradox was that there never was a collar, it was all in his mind. Kevin thought that the title, The Collar, was witty and could actually just summarize the whole poem just from the title. He said the title needed to be able to represent the three parts to the title: his anger, the literal collar holding him back, and the collar being God calling out to him. I thought he did so because the collar could define different aspects of his life. The slave's collar that binded him to his faith and limited his freedoms. His collar, or anger, which is shown because of the disgust he showed for having lived in faith for so long with nothing to show. And the collar who was God, who he had devoted his whole life to. And everyone has their own collar, I thought. Megan thought the differential use of the words added depth to the poem, and how the words all tied back together with multiple meanings was the paradox. For the next set of questions, the dramatic situation, Travis said pretty much straight up that it was love, and Herbert couldn't decide who he loved more, his woman or his Lord. Kevin said that the speaker was having a conversation with God, and also pointed out that the speaker was truly meaning that God was love in the poem. I said that the poem was a replay of the speaker having a conversation between himself and love. In this case, love took on a physical form and was there in the flesh of the speaker having a conversation. Megan said that the dramatic situation is his fear of love and him questioning what it truly was. She thought that the end really showed how he found love and began to listen to what love actually had to say. So for my last question, or our last question, Travis said that the reason this poem was chosen last was because it involved temptation. The temptation of loving a woman is hard to pass up. He says that Herbert was so afraid of committing sin that he could not live a normal life. So the final poem shows that everyone will sin and God doesn't judge for it. Kevin said that the solution in this poem of God forgiving the speakers resolves the betrayal of the speaker from God. God explains that the eyes will deceive you and the grass isn't always greener on the other side. He says the speaker finally realized that all the pleasures are superficial and all he needs is love. I thought that love in this poem was in essence God. I said that love questions the speaker about his eyes and if it was he that had made them, and then asks the speaker even who bore the blame for his own shame. Those questions that were asked are really what led me to believe that God was that love was a form of God. I thought this poem could have been a continuation of the Caller poem because it was a conversation that could have happened right after the end of the Caller poem when God called to him. I thought this was a poem of reassurance because love tells the speaker that he bore sin and shame. Megan thought that the theme in comparison between this poem and the Caller was the theme of servantship to one's master. She says this because of how when love told him to sit and he did it, and it compares to the Caller because of how the speaker thought God was telling him what to do.